The Alric Show.
Hi, I'm Alric and welcome to the show. Today we talk about autism, a mystery that has been affecting millions of families across the world. And PetaGaye is here with us. PetaGaye, how are you?
I am well. Thanks for having me here.
Great. I'm happy to have you. Now, PetaGaye, what is it that we want people to know about being the mother of a child who's autistic?
Well, one of the things that I would love the world to know is that irrespective of the condition that is there, he's still human, right? He still has a purpose, and your child should still be seen as quality and must never be denied, rejected, or neglected in any way.
How old is your child?
He's 6.
He's 6. Mm-hmm. When did you know that he's autistic?
Well, honestly, from as young as I think 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't, there were signs that I was seeing.
What were some
For example, some of the sensory signs I would see is like how he reacts to lighting. Mm. And at the moment when you try to wake him, he would just, like, he frightened out of his seat, right?
What is that reaction to light?
All right, so there's usually a sensory processing issue that every person who is on the spectrum that they carry, whether it's auditory, visual. For him, one of it was visual. So if he would see that light, then he would react to it and be like, right? So tight clothes, and then that's it. So I used to observe that when he's watching the television, and it's some pictures that would pop up on the television that would have him actually. So I was like, that is not normal. Something is wrong with that. And so gradually I would observe him. So when he walks, at this point now, this was when he started walking. When he walks, I would realize that he would, like, almost like a knock out for a split second, and like he would stumble. So I was like, something is off with this. I don't think this is normal. And so even though I saw those signs, I still gave it time, to see what was happening, just to observe some more. So I would say those things were what I used to assess to say that he's probably on the spectrum, right? And then gradually, as he became 3 years old, I say, you know what, let me take him to a specialist.
What was happening now at 3 years old?
He fights for everything. So to get him dressed, to change his diaper, to bathe him, when he gets acclimatized to the water, he now begins to enjoy the water. He would fight to come out of the water. So everything that concerns my son, we would literally have to fight to get it done. And not only that, but he wasn't speaking, right? He started speaking at 8 months, 1 and 2 words. He knew all his ABCs, 1, 2, 3, up to 20. Shapes, colors, and it doesn't matter the sequence that you place them in. You just know that he understood how it should be, right? But then as he became 16 to 18 months, he regressed. He regressed terribly. He started saying the alphabets as the sound, not the letter. And then gradually those sounds just disappear. You couldn't understand the sound that was coming out anymore.
What was going through your mind now? He's regressing. As a first-time mom.
At this point, honestly, as a first-time mother, because I've always wanted to become a mother, and I had all these dreams. I saw myself teaching my son how to be brilliant, to teach him, help him with his schoolwork. And I saw myself actually becoming his teacher, even though in my mind, he will be going to school. So I wanted a brilliant child. And when I saw all of this, I was like, I don't understand God. I mean, I really do anything in our life was so wicked. You know? And I'm seeing persons around me who I know their lifestyle. And I'm like, you know, it's unfair. Rolling back to 3 years old, when he regressed in language and everything, he wasn't speaking no words whatsoever. We took him to a well-known specialist, somewhere off Malines Road there. I'm not going to really mention the name. And they referred to him as nonverbal, right? They classed him as nonverbal. At that point, I remember my husband and I, we literally broke down. I think at that point, he didn't know how to handle that either, knowing that that's his son, you know, man to son kind of thing. So we were lost. We didn't know what from here, didn't have information, nothing whatsoever. And then all that we were receiving from the specialist, it's like we're thinking, how on earth are we going to get that done?
Well,
the finance that surrounds that.
Well, what kind of money you were hearing about to help him to develop his speech? Because you are now hearing that?
Speech, behavior, occupational. All the therapies they suggested that he would need, right? Surrounding that, it would be 7,000 per half hour, some persons per hour, right? We have checked around to see the prices based on the information we have received. Not only that, he would need a shadow because he's very active, right? So with a shadow, it would be the minimum, say 50,000, if that person wants to accept that, 50,000 per month to pay for a shadow. And the school fee at that time, based on where we went first, it was 100 and something thousand per term. We didn't have that. No way.
We take a break. We take a break. When we come back, we hear more from PetaGaye about her son, who is living with autism.
On the Alex Show.
It can be a heartbreaking experience for parents whose children are autistic. We continue our story with PetaGaye. Now, you're hearing all about this money, a lot of money to take care of your son. Were you still confused and hopeful at the same time that you may not need to spend this money, but maybe next month or in 3 months' time, he'll make a turnaround?
At the time, as I said, we were devastated when we heard everything that was happening. He was born overseas. So we started thinking of ways to go, because then he would receive all of these benefits at no cost really overseas. But that was against us as a family, because then my husband, he wanted to stay here. You know, he was in a job that he enjoys and stuff like that. So along with that, here in the finance, we started thinking, how are we going to supply all of that? Because we want the best for our son. He's brilliant, by the way. So we started assessing our jobs. How much am I earning? How much is my husband earning? And mark you, our living expenses were already calculated for, you know, the salary between us. So there's no extra cost that would come out. And irrespective of that cost, there's already a cost with our son, because it's very expensive. He doesn't eat solid food, right? So we would always have to supply.
Even up to now?
Yes. So I've started him recently with, oral exercises for his tongue, because I discovered the reason why he's not eating. But skip that, go back to, right. So he only drinks porridge from a straw cup, right? His porridge only can be mixed one way with Lasco. So we usually have to supply and then tear a box of Lasco every month, and it finishes before the month ends. And so we started to think of the finance, and we said it's not gonna work. So we thought of sending him to a government school, which we did. That was horrible. I remember the teacher looked at me and she said, "Mother, we can't manage to have your child here."
Because they're not trained to deal with them.
Right. And then I could understand her, because at the time it was only her in a classroom of, I think, about 20. So she said, "Probably need to take your son to one of them rich school." Now, when I heard that, and I believe that persons need to be careful how they speak to parents who have children who is on, the spectrum, whether on the spectrum or special needs, because it can be really devastating to hear some words that comes out of a person's mouth that may come off as insensitive. So I felt like they gave up. They didn't want to try with him. And so I remember at that point I broke down, and that's when I really prayed, and I got into my prayer closet and I said, "Lord, we can't manage." At one point I thought of giving up, like just let go and just let him be and accept that he will probably be nothing, God forbid.
What did you hold on to in that moment?
Dreams that I would have, right? That he's speaking. Dreams that I have of him that he will progress. And just to look at him, there's something with his eyes. When you look, you see purpose, hope, right? So I said, no, I have to do everything within me.
What are some of the things that you started to do now?
Speak love, a lot of love in his hearing. Because one of the things that I was devastated about is, will I not be able to hear my son say, "I love you, Mommy"? Or, "Mommy, what's wrong? Mommy's going to be okay." So I used to just look at him inside and I'd be like, "You mean for tell me, say, me not go ever hear you say, 'Mommy, I love you'? Or when I'm done, 'Mommy, it's okay, it's going to be okay'?" And I remember one night in the bed, I said, "Shad, I never hear you tell me say you love me." But I know that you love me, and I love you, but I want you to try and say it. And so I started with speech. So I made everything about our home and liberty a speech communication thing. So it's broken down and bubbly, like, good, "Oh, wow, afternoon, Papa. Good day. Mommy loves you. I love you. I love you too." So those kind of things. So the conversations would be like that until one day I said, I can't say it like how he says it because it was weird. Says, "I love you."
Wow.
But it was weird how he said it.
Yeah.
But yes, Jesus. I was like, wow.
You brought to tears.
What? I was like, wow. He said, "I love you." So I said, "Papa, you can have more confidence. Say it again, louder. I love you." And he said it about like 5 times.
Wow.
And that's when that hope, I was like, okay, I see now what God is doing. I was like, devil is a liar, right? So when I saw all of that, I was like, okay, you gonna pull through. You're gonna pull through.
All right, we take a break. When we come back, we hear more from PetaGaye about helping her son to pull through.
On the Alex Show.
Welcome back to the show. We continue our conversation with PetaGaye on the topic of autism. So you've been helping your son, Shadrach. Yeah. What are some of the things now at 6 years old that he's now doing? Where he's at now?
Well, first of all, because they had classed him as nonverbal, he's speaking.
He's speaking?
Sometime I have to remind myself, like when I almost say to him, "Why you can't chat so?" Sometimes I have to.
No, you're telling me that.
Sometimes I have to remind myself because I don't want to be ungrateful.
Yeah.
I have to remind myself that I don't well want to hear this. Eh? So I hold back and I swallow that spit. And I'm like, okay. And then I hear mommy so often.
And
everything,
mommy.
You know what he does now? Uh-huh. He says PetaGaye when he wants to show that he's dominant.
Oh.
PetaGaye. Mm-hmm. And I just let him be because I cannot get to that place where I say, I'm tired of hearing you. Right? I have to keep hearing him. Yeah, because at a point,
the Lord answered your prayer.
At a point, I wanted badly to just hear him say, mommy, mommy.
Wow.
Or to just hear the tone of his voice. And can I tell him, I have a man voice now, you know?
Yeah. What's his father's reaction to all of this now?
Oh, he loves it. He's proud. Like the other day, he was teaching him how to drive.
Yeah.
By the way, my son loves girls. So he was teaching him how to drive. And he saw two girls standing up outside of their home. So he was there driving and he was like, oh, girls, mommy. And so he wind down the window and pump. Hi, girls. Yeah. Hi, girls. Good night. Yeah. So with that, his dad was like, oh my God. And I'm like, look at what get you fired up.
Yeah.
Look at what get you fired up.
Man. Come on.
I know.
Right.
But I was like, I would never dare try to cut his ego from that, you know, being a boy, you know.
How does he interact with other children?
He loves to play.
Yeah.
He loves to socialize. He loves friends. And with the pandemic, I think it has done something, but I try to not cause it to create a deeper problem, because one of the issues with children who are on the spectrum, they have a social issue. Behavioral, right, and cognitive.
Where on the spectrum he is?
He's mild, they said, but 1 point away from severe. I'm not sure how they measured that, right? So he's mild, and with that, with the whole socialization, I would have to engage him with socializing with others, because now the pandemic, what it has caused is that he would pull away one aside and I would see him and he would be like, mommy, nobody loves me. Nobody wants to play, no friends. He complains about wanting friends daily. And so when I see that, I was like, wow, I have to try to engage him, right? So I engage him with his best friend, try to take him by his best friends often and stuff, whether they wear masks or not. And it was horrible for a moment to get him to wear a mask. Yeah. I've been through some frustrating moments during the pandemic because he doesn't wear a mask at that point.
So when you're in public with him, and the challenges of wearing masks, what's that like?
Well, for some institutions, like for example, the supermarkets, the workers, they would be like, no, mommy, you can't enter with a child not wearing mask. I remember one of the encounters I had, I said to the personnel, I said, but he can't wear mask. I didn't say he doesn't wear mask. I said, he can't wear mask. I had on my mask at the time. And she was still adamant. She said, but the rule is there, so the sign there, he can't enter not wearing a mask. So I looked at her and I said, let me ask you a question. Do you think that I'm a careless mother? So I said, I'm wearing a mask. Do you think that I would allow my child to come out not wearing a mask while I'm wearing a mask if something wasn't wrong? So I said to her, I understand that the sign is there and it says that, and I understand that you're doing your job. But you could have some humane aspect to it as well, right? To find out deeper what is happening. And then I will explain to you, not every day, every person is going to say to you and publicize it, my child is on the spectrum.
And it must be frustrating
Right?
to you as well, because every day you basically have to be
Every day.
explaining.
Every day. And it's not something that persons want to keep saying and speaking like that because you're hoping for it not to be there.
Right.
But we need a lot more advocates, right? You have places that really support them and facilitate them in being developed, but then they're expensive. What about those who are low income, middle income, right? How will they manage? Those children still, they need to be great, right? There's not enough government school to even supply. When you go there, it's a long waiting list. You don't have it to send to a high-end school. And even the high-end school, there's a long waiting list. So what the Lord has instructed me to do, and he says, you started with your son. My son was the first student. Even though I studied business, I don't really have much teaching experience either, right? But the Lord had granted me experience in autism because of my son.
How many children are you currently helping?
Well, I started...
And what is the program, or is there a school that you're helping them through?
It's called Gifted Minds.
Nice.
And it's called Gifted Minds because I don't believe that we should speak, autism in the lives of persons. Whose report shall we follow? The Lord always says that, only his. So they're gifted, right? And the fact that they're gifted, they need someone to really see those gifts and to help pluck it out of them.
How can more parents contact you, Gifted Minds?
Well, you can contact us via email, which is giftedmindsresourcecenter@gmail.com. Also via mobile, which is 876-219-1439.
Wow, you've come a long way, PetaGaye. How do you feel now? What are those words of hope and encouragement that you want to say to mothers and fathers out there, of children living with autism?
Well, I usually always start off with a scripture, John 9, verse 2. When one of the disciples asked Christ, he said, Rabbi, whose fault was it that this man was born blind, right? And he said, it's none of them fault, but that his works may be seen. So irrespective of the condition that is there, irrespective of the problem and the situations, know that you were given a child, whether they were on the spectrum, their special needs, whatever the case is, they are a gift, right? And if you were given a gift, it's for you to accept the gift and open it, right? So that it may benefit you and others.
Thank you so very much, PetaGaye, and continue to love little Shadrach, right? And grateful also for the support of your husband. Yeah, that's good. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
And thank you for having me.
All right, great. Well, I hope this has been an eye-opening experience for you as it was for me, all right? As I really wanted to bring more awareness to autism. I want to thank you so much for sharing with us today on The Alric Show. The Alric Show will be back next week.
Inspiration, motivation, one vision, hope to one new generation. Together we can live and learn. Yes, we're one family on The Alric Show.